I'm now joined by Lama Fakih, Crisis and Conflict Director at Human Rights Watch. Lama, thanks so much for being with us. Now, your organisation is calling on the UN Human Rights Council to pass a resolution at its September session to launch a fact-finding mission into the Beirut port explosion. That's an international initiative. Does this mean that all possibilities to shed light on this tragedy within Lebanon have been exhausted?
Inside Lebanon, we have seen that political interference has stopped the domestic investigation. What this means for the victims is that there is no pathway forward for justice inside the country. And this is why we and other rights organizations and the families of the victims have been looking for international support to move forward on justice and accountability for the blast.
Now, on this same anniversary last year, your organisation, Human Rights Watch, revealed that Lebanese government officials knew about the ammonium nitrate being stored in the port of Beirut. Surely that lays some of the blame with them for failing to act upon that information. Why is this not being pursued as a line of inquiry domestically?
Unfortunately, the same political parties that were responsible for allowing the ammonium nitrate to lie in wait at the port for years, a ticking time bomb, putting the entire city at risk. It is these same political parties that have stood up and ensured that the domestic investigation cannot move forward. For many victims, like 5-year-old Muhammad, who lost his parents along with his younger sister, what this means is that they are blocked from knowing the truth about why their parents were killed and who is responsible. I see Muhammad and his sister almost every day when I drop my kids at school. And I can tell you that there is no amount of community assistance or financial support that can replace the truth and justice that these kids deserve. President Macron came to Lebanon after the port explosion, and he promised to stand with the Lebanese people. And we are calling on President Macron to stand with the victims of the blast at the Human Rights Council and lead in establishing a fact-finding mission so that victims like Muhammad and his sister have a pathway towards justice.
Now, rights groups like yourself have pointed to a culture of impunity and institutional lack of accountability in Lebanon across the board, more globally. Do you see an appetite for change there? What form might that take?
Lebanon lacks an independent judiciary, and this is something that is stopping justice in the port explosion, and it is something that has perennially resulted in impunity for serious crimes in the country. There is important legislation before Parliament on the independence of the judiciary, but reforms that have been introduced have gutted some of the rights protections there. The international community also has an important role to play in using their pressure with the Lebanese government to ensuring that strong legislation to ensure the independence of the judiciary is passed as a matter of priority.
You mentioned the international community there, so zooming out from these Lebanese calls for change, in your view, what's the most likely response that we're going to see internationally? You mentioned President Macron. Is there anything else that we could be looking towards?
We have seen that there have been calls of support, that there have been statements of solidarity, and we really need to take those words and action them. One concrete step can be taken through the Human Rights Council. We are trying to see a state or a group of states ready to stand together to be leaders on this issue and ensuring that, for children that lost their parents, for the parents that lost their children, that they are able to know what happened and that the people responsible are held accountable and made to pay for their crimes.
Lama Fakih of Human Rights Watch, thank you very much for joining us today for those comments on the bomb blast in Beirut 2 years on.